Hello, everybody. It's a little cloudy and rainy. However, I'm in the mood to read, so that's what I'm going to do. I am on page 70. I don't know how far I'm going. Hold on. I think I'm going to page. Oh, here we go. Page 146. So I hope you're ready. Page 73. Long way down. Here we go. There's a strange thing that happens in the elevator, in any elevator. Every time somebody gets in, they check to see if the button for the floor they're going to is lit. And if it isn't, they push it, then face the door. That's it. They don't speak to the people already in the elevator, and the people already in the elevator don't speak to the newcomer. Those are elevator rules, I guess. No talking, no looking. Stand still, stare at the door, and wait. A guy got on, definitely older than me, but not old. Medium brown skin, slim, low haircut, part on the side. No hair in his face, none at all, not even a mustache. Gold links dangling around his neck like magic rope. Checked to make sure the L button was lit, going down too. L stood for loser when we were kids, so Sean and I would stand in an empty elevator and wait for someone to get on and push L. And when they did, we would giggle because they were the loser and me and Sean were the winners, on a funny and victorious ride down to the lobby. I thought about this when the man with the gold chains got on and checked to see if the L button was already glowing. I wondered if he knew that in me and Sean's world, I'd already chosen to be a loser. It's uncomfortable when you feel like someone is looking at you, but only when you're not looking. I've seen girls waiting at the bus stop make men pitiful pieces of putty, curling backward, stretching and straining every muscle just to get a glimpse of what Sean and a lot of men around here call the world. But there were no women on this elevator, so there were no worlds to be checking for. But he kept checking anyway, not knowing that if he kept checking anyway, he'd get a world of trouble. Do I know you? I asked, irritated, freaked out. The man smiled, adjusted the chains around his neck, looked me straight in the eyes, dead in the face. You don't recognize me? He asked, his voice deep, familiar. I looked harder, squinted, trying to place the face. Nah, not really, I said. He smiled wide. A jagged mouth, sharp and shark-like, then turned around so that I could see the back of his TV shirt. A silk-screened photo, him squatting low, middle fingers in the air, and a smile made of triangles. R.I.P. Buck, you'll be missed forever. My stomach jumped into my chest, or my chest fell into my stomach, or both. I knew him. Buck? I stumbled backward. Couldn't be, couldn't be. Ain't that what it say? He said, facing me. Couldn't be. But I stuttered. I thought, you thought I was dead, he said. Straight up. I rubbed my eyes over and over again, tripping. Never smoked or nothing like that. Don't know high life. Don't know bad trips. Don't know dead man, supposed to be talking to me though. Yeah, I did, I said, hoping he would come back with, I'm not dead, or I faked my death, or something like that. Or maybe I'd wake up, sit straight up in bed, the gun still tucked under my pillow, my mother still asleep at the kitchen table. A dream. Buck looked at me, noticing my panic, softly said, I am. I did all the wake-up tricks, pinched the meat of my armpit, slapped myself in the face, even tried to blink myself awake. Blink, but Buck. I know what you're thinking, that I was scared of to death. But no need to be afraid. I had known Buck since I was a kid, the only big brother Sean had ever had. Sean knew Buck better than I did, knew Buck longer than we'd known our dad. I take it back, I was scared. What if he had come to get me, to take me with him? What if he had come to catch my breath? Anagram number 1, alive equals avail. Catching my breath, I asked, so why are you here? I wiped the corners of my mouth, thought, please don't say you've come to take me. Please don't say I'm dead. Please. Actually, he said, doing the bus stop, leaned back again. I came to check on my gun. My response. Then finally, in an almost whisper, he added, your tail is showing. I put my hand behind my back, felt the imprint of the piece like another piece of me, an extra vertebra, some more backbone. Thought about moving it to the front, but Sean always used to say, dogs, even snarling ones, tuck their tails between their legs. A sign of fear, a signal of bluff. I remember when I gave that thing to Sean, Buck said, he was around your age, told him he could hold it for me, taught him how to use it too, taught him the rules, made him promise to put it somewhere you couldn't get it. And I replied with as much tough in my voice as I could, but I got it. And I'm glad I found it because I need it, I explained. Sean's dead now. No need to tiptoe around it. Plus, I figured Buck already knew. Figured dead no dead stuff. Damn. Dumb thing to think. Happened last night. Followed him from the store, caught him slipping, gave him 2 to the chest right outside our building, I said, anger sour in the back of my throat. But I know it was the Dark Suns. Rigs in them. Had to be. Buck folded his arms. I see, he said, shaking his head, his mouth fading into frown. So what you about to do? My eyes turned to razor blades. I'm about to do what I gotta do. What you would have done. I squared. Follow the rules. The elevator rumbled and vibrated and knocked around like the middle drawer, like something off track. Scared the hell out of me. What's taken this stupid thing so long? I asked, pounding the door as hard as my heart was pounding inside me. This rickety thing has always moved slow, Buck said, grinning. Yeah, but this is ridiculous, I replied, palms wetting. Might as well relax, Buck said. It's a long way down. Maybe he didn't hear me, or didn't take me seriously. Old people always do that. Always try to act like what I'm saying ain't true. Always try to act like I'm not for real. But I was for real. So for real. Relax? I snapped. Relax? I ain't got time to relax. I got work to do. A job to do. Business to handle, I said, feeling myself, my macho between my shaky legs, masking my jumpy heart. Buck laughed, and laughter, when it's loud and heavy and aimed at you, I think, can feel just as bad as a bullet's bang. You got work to do? A job to do? Buck teased, wiping laugh tears from his eyes. Right. You gonna follow the rules, huh? Yeah, that's right, I said, opening my stance to let him know this wasn't a game, that I was for real. Buck pressed his finger to my chest like he was pushing an elevator button, the L button. But you ain't got it in you, Will, he said, cocky. Your brother did, but you don't. He asked me if I had even checked to see if the gun was loaded. I hadn't, and now almost shot myself trying to figure out how to. Give it to me before you hurt yourself. Buck clicked something. The clip slid from the grip like a metal candy bar. 14 slugs, 1 in the hole, 15 total, he said, slamming the clip back in. How many should there be? I asked. 16, but whatever. He held the gun out. I grabbed it, but Buck wouldn't let go. I yanked and yanked, pulled and pulled, but he resisted and resisted, laughed and laughed, bucked and bucked. Buck finally let go and I stumbled into the corner, slamming against the wall like a clown. You don't got it in you, he repeated, over and over again under his unbreath, while sliding a pack of cigarettes from his pocket. Tossed one in his mouth, struck a match that sounded like a finger snap. Then the elevator came to a stop. I had half a second to get a grip. Grab the grip, tuck the gun, turn around, ignore Buck, catch my breath, stand straight, act normal, act natural, act like the only rules that matter are the ones for the elevator. Sorry, it's raining, so I'm putting you underneath my towel. A girl stepped in, stood beside me around my age, fine as heaven. Flower dress, low heels, light makeup, lip gloss, cheek stuff. Perfume, sweet, fresh, cutting through the cigarette smoke. She checked to make sure L was lit, and I was, walking my eyes up her legs, the ruffle and fold of her flower dress, her arms, her neck, her cheek, her hair. Then the bus stop leaned back to get a glimpse of the world. But the metal barrow dug into my back, making me wince, making me obvious, and whack. I didn't know smoking was allowed in elevators, she said, her small talk smacking with sarcasm, but I was too shook to notice. You could see that? I replied, all goofy, my game no good around ghosts. I wondered if she thought it was me lighting up before she got on, since she couldn't see Buck in the corner puffing out, making faces like, get on with it. Of course, it's everywhere, she said, pinching back a cough. She fanned smoke from her face, thumbed to Buck, who shook his head and blew vanishing halos. She could see him. She could see him. She could see him. Then she turned to me and added, I didn't know guns were allowed in elevators either. She could see? Buck? But how? I thought it was only my ghost, only my grand imagination. But when she could see him, could smell his funky cigarette, I knew for a fact this was real. At this point, you probably already don't believe me, or think I'm nuts, and maybe I am. But I swear, this is all true. Swear. I joined in, fanning the smoke, shaking her comment about the gun, looking at Buck all crazy. But he ain't care. Just leaned back and took another pull on the cig, burning but not burning down. Still long, fire, smoke, but no ash. She brushed her hand against mine to get my attention, which on any other occasion would have been the perfect open for me to flirt, or at least try to do my best impression of Sean, which was his best impression of Buck. But there was a ghost in the elevator, so no go. Plus, it's hard to think about kissing and killing at the same time. She asked what you need it for anyway, and when I looked confused, pretended to look confused, she ticked tongue to teeth and clarified, the gun. The next exchange was a simple one. I don't mean no harm, but that ain't something you just ask someone you don't even know, I said, still trying to play cool. The girl nodded, replied, you're right. So right. But then she put her hand on my shoulder, her perfume floating from her wrist to just under my nostrils, said, but I do know you will. I won't front, I was a little excited. I know I just said flirting on an elevator with a ghost on it was a no-go, but we wouldn't be on this elevator forever. And Sean always said if a girl says she knows you, but you ain't never met her, then she's been watching you, clocking you, checking you. Buck probably taught him that. I hoped it was true. From where is what I came up with next, loading up my flirts. Where you know me from? The girl smiled with her eyes. From the playground, she said. Monkey bars. Very funny, I said, picking up on her trying to play me. I ain't no monkey. I never said you were, she replied. I'm being serious. Well, then you got the wrong guy because I'm too old to be hanging out at playgrounds. Yeah, but I knew you when you weren't. She opened her purse, dug around, pulled out a wallet, unfolded it, turned it toward me to flash a photo like white people on movies when they want to show off their kids. But I wasn't trying to see no kids. But there they were. There we were. Me and my friend Danny, as kids, 8 years old. No need jeans and hand-me-down t-shirt from Sean. Flower dress shorts underneath for Danny, who hung from a monkey bar, tongue hanging out from her mouth like pink candy. The sun shining in my eyes, the sunshine in hers. You remember this, the girl asked, folding, snapping the wallet shut. Of course, I said, wondering how she knew Danny. It was one of the best and worst days of my life. You remember on this day, she paused, cocking her head to the side, hands on hips, butterflied arms, and continued. I kissed you? My eyes got big. Danny? This was Danny. Danny, standing in front of me. The flower dress. The same. Her face 8 years older than 8 years old, but still the same. Yeah, I remember. I remember that. I remember this. And then I got hung up. And then gunshots, she said. Gunshots. Gunshots like firecrackers coming from everywhere. Danny said her body burned and all she wanted to do was jump out of herself. Swing to somewhere else like we pretended to do on monkey bars. And now I want to throw up. Buck baited. He the cigarette dangling, bouncing with each word like a fishing pole with fish on bait, with hook through head. I told Danny how I remember Sean screaming for us to get down, how he lay on top of us, covering us, smashing us into the dirt. I told her how I remember staring at her the whole time, her eyes wide, the brightness dimming, her mouth open, bubblegum and blood. I swear sometimes it feels like God be flashing photos of his children, awkward, amazing, tucked in his wallet for the world to see. But the world don't want to see no kids, and God ain't no pushy parent, so he just folds and snaps us shut. When they said you were gone, I cried all night, I confessed. And the next morning, over hard-boiled eggs and sugar cereal, Sean taught me rule number 1, no crying. The way I felt when Danny was killed was a first. Never felt nothing like it. I stood in the shower the next morning after Sean taught me the first rule, no crying. Feeling like I wanted to scratch my skin off, scratch my eyes out, punch through something, a wall, a face, anything, so something else could have a hole. Anagram number 2, feel equals flee. It's cool to see you, Danny, I said, feeling funny but meaning every word. She grew up gorgeous. At least she would have. Good to see you too, Will, she grinned, but you still haven't answered my question. What do you need a gun for? My face tightened, hardened. They killed Sean last night. Who killed Sean? Shouldn't you already know? Just tell me who killed him, Will. The Dark Sons. You remember Riggs used to live around here? Think it was him. Had to be? Had to be. Danny was killed before she ever learned the rules, so I explained them to her so she wouldn't think less of me for following them. Like I was just another block boy on one looking to off one. So that she knew I had purpose, and that this was about family. And had I known the rules when we were kids, I would have done the same thing for her. When Danny asked, what if you miss? But I won't, I said. But what if you do, she asked. I won't, I said. But how you know, she asked. I just know, I said. But you ever even shot a gun, she asked. Don't matter, I said. Don't matter. Danny was disappointed, slapped her hands to her face, tried to wipe away worry, but she couldn't, and I couldn't expect her to. I looked back at Buck for a bailout, some help, something, but he said nothing. Just slid the cigarettes from his pocket and extended it to Danny. Buck offered, "Smoke?" I guess this was his way of diffusing the situation. "Thank you," Danny said, wiggling one from the box. "You smoke?" I asked. "You shoot?" she shot back, flipping it between shiny lips, leaning forward for the light. Buck struck a match, and again the elevator came to a stop. That's that! You guys are amazing!